What is up, guys? Welcome back to Between the Pylons. I'm John Camacho. Thank you so much for watching, and today I am doing another draft review, this time on the Colts, the Indianapolis Colts, who have always seemed to handle the draft so well, and I'm so excited to dive into this with you guys. But first, let's talk about a couple of my guidelines when I talk about the NFL draft and how teams should go about it. And first things first, did they have a plan? And for the Colts, it was very clear that they came into this draft with a clear and set plan to add skill positions to their team. They did that primarily by adding Michael Pittman Jr. and Jonathan Taylor in the second round, and just bolstering up that offense and giving whoever's starting at quarterback no excuse not to excel. A team that has a really good offensive line. I think they're going to have to kind of mold themselves into a power running team, and they can do it with the offense they have. Getting Jonathan Taylor, I think, adds to their ability to do that with the stable of running backs they have. Now Marlon Mack and Jonathan Taylor can both play that role very well, along with Williams, who is kind of at the bottom of the depth chart, but is a little bit more of a power back type of guy. I think you know, you need to add a guy like Michael Pittman, who is going to be that go up and catch it type of guy. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself and talking about players who I plan on talking about the next part of this series, so let me move on there for a second. The next question is, did they add offensive linemen within the first 4 rounds? The Colts are a great example of a team that is not bad because they have a good offensive line. They're good for 7 or 8 wins, even if, say, your franchise quarterback retires 2 weeks before the season. You're still in a pretty good position to win a lot of games because the offensive line is so good for the Colts. And now they didn't add an offensive lineman in the first 4 rounds. They did in the 5th round. And again, they're an example of a team. They didn't need offensive line, but you consistently add young talent to a team, no matter how good or bad your offensive line is, and it's gonna get better. And now you just have another depth piece on that team, and I think that's so important. Maybe he develops into a starter, maybe he doesn't. It doesn't matter. It's a 5th round pick. Who cares? As far as a team building standpoint, I think that is essential when you're trying to build a good team in the NFL. And lastly, did you get a piece of the strength of the class? And for this year, it is wide receiver. And yes, they did. That is a little bit of part of what they came in here trying to do, adding a wide receiver with their very first pick in this draft. But all right, guys, let's get to the actual picks. And as always, I do talk about just the guys that were drafted in the first 3 rounds, because I think that's where you're getting the guys that are going to be instant impact, and maybe not instant impact, but guys that are going to have an impact on your team right away. Guys that are drafted on day 3 between rounds 4 and 7, some of them do end up hitting and being successful right away, but more often than not, you're getting depth pieces. You're getting guys that are going to be you know, spot starters here and there, but not consistent starters, and a lot of them won't be in the NFL in the next 3 years, so I don't feel like I need to spend a lot of time talking about them. But with their very first pick in this draft at number 34, they do get Michael Pittman Jr., wide receiver out of USC. And if you are interested in seeing a little bit of a deep dive on Michael Pittman, you can check out the Michael Pittman draft profile that I did on this channel, where I kind of dive into why I loved him so much. I was a big fan of his. He was a top 10 pick for me, or excuse me, a top 10 receiver for me in this class. And I think the Colts got a really good player in Michael Pittman Jr., a guy who's going to be a go up and get it type of guy. You know how much Philip Rivers wants to just sling the rock down the field, and that's what he's going to be able to do, and Michael Pittman's going to be able to go up and catch it. So that, I feel like, is a really good fit for the Colts. In a position where they need somebody to go opposite T.Y. Hilton, they drafted Paris Campbell out of Ohio State last year in the 2nd round, a pick that I was a huge fan of as well. He got hurt, wasn't able to really produce the way you hope. I still believe in him. I think he could really have a breakout sophomore season, but Michael Pittman Jr. is a really great player to add into that arsenal of receiver, and I think they're building a really good receiver core, 1 second-round pick at a time. And with their second round pick number 41, they actually traded ahead of the Jacksonville Jaguars to snag Jonathan Taylor, running back out of Wisconsin, and they get one of the best running backs in this class out of Wisconsin, a guy who is going to be a true power back type of running back, with the ability to break it for a 90-yard touchdown whenever you give him the opportunity, because he has the legit speed, he has the power, he has the production, he has it all. If you don't love Jonathan Taylor, I just don't know what to tell you. This is a great player, and you probably know a lot about him because he's been in college forever. But moving on, guys, with their third round pick, number 85 overall, they too take a safety out of Utah, Julian Blackmon. And guys, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, he was, to me, among one of the top 5 safeties in this class. So I'm not exactly sure why he fell that far. Maybe I was just higher on him than the rest of the NFL, which is totally fine. But I definitely looked at Julian Blackmon as a guy who can come in right away and be a starter. I really believed he belonged in that second to third round range, but this far down in the third round is a little bit surprising to me. I'll be perfectly honest. I would not have been surprised at all if he went in the top 50. I really wouldn't have been. I think we have a guy who is going to be really interesting with all of the trade rumors about Malik Hooker. Now, Malik Hooker is an excellent player. He is, but he has been consistently injured. There are rumors that the Colts are ready to move on from Malik Hooker, and this Julian Blackmon could be the insurance policy they needed to move on from Malik Hooker. Now, obviously, the draft is over, so trading for a draft pick now would be a little bit weird. I don't think you're going to see that move happen yet, but if it happened at the start of camp, or if there's going to be a camp, or at some point during the season, it really wouldn't surprise me at all. Now, if not, Malik Hooker can still be a really, really good free safety, and Julian Blackmon can come in and play a little bit as well. I don't think that's out of the range of possibilities either. I think both players are really good. I think Blackmon has a chance to start either way, even if Malik Hooker isn't traded. All right, guys, let's go down the list and take a look at some of the trades that the Colts made. Now, the Colts are always so good at creating value in the draft, at understanding how to use their assets to get the most out of the draft. And with the first trade, I already mentioned it, they moved up 3 spots from number 44 overall to 41 to snag Jonathan Taylor and get ahead of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they sent over a 5th round pick to the Browns to do that. That was a good move for a team that really valued Jonathan Taylor, and you have to go get your guy sometimes, and with sending a 5th round pick, I don't think is asking a lot for a guy who is going to be a star at the running back position. And then what they did is in the 3rd round, they were able to get that 5th round pick back by moving back about 10 spots. They still secured their guy in Julian Blackmon, and they also moved up in the 6th round as well. So it was kind of a weird trade. They traded with the Lions, and they gave up their 3rd and 6th round pick and got back the Lions' 3rd, 5th, and 6th round pick. So essentially, they just swapped 3rd and 6s, and the Colts got a 5th in return. So I feel that's a good deal, essentially making up for the 5th round pick that they traded to the Broncos earlier that same day. And aside from a trade in the 6th round where they received number 112 and 113 for the 182nd pick, that's not a pick that that's not really a trade that I need to focus on too much. And the only other trade of note that I do want to talk about is sending away Quincy Wilson in the 6th round. They received number 211 overall for Quincy Wilson out of a former 2nd round pick was sent to the Jets. And I think that's a good trade for both sides. The Jets get a guy who maybe just needed a fresh start somewhere else, somewhere new, and the Colts kind of unload on a bust of a draft pick. So I think that works out, and they ended up drafting a cornerback with that spot, Isaiah Rodgers, and I know that seems crazy to trade Quincy Wilson for a 6th round corner, but I mean, he couldn't be much worse, right? All right, guys, as far as my favorite move, I think jumping the Jags to ensure them landing Jonathan Taylor is probably my favorite move for the Colts. I think that's just a really good understanding of team needs, not just their own, but other team needs, of different scenarios, and understanding of they had a guy they wanted and they went and got it. I really love that, and I love the chess game that goes on within the draft with stuff like that. The other move that I do want to talk about that I really liked was adding Jacob Eason in the 4th round. I thought that was a great value for them. Jacob Eason this is a guy who was being talked about in the first round. Granted, unwarranted by every stretch of the imagination. I never saw Jacob Eason as anywhere close to a day one prospect, but I did think he had a chance to go in a day two, you know, second, third round. They ended up landing him in the fourth round, and just a guy who, he's not going to start first year, but he has a chance to develop, and if they develop him the right way behind Phillip Rivers, and I feel like they have a chance to get a guy who can be a starter at some point in his career. He's not there yet, but I think he can be. I do like the upside of Jacob Eason, and I really like that pick as well. My least favorite move, and this is a little bit nitpicky because I did understand the thought process that went behind it, but I think I would have probably hung tight with that 13 pick and not traded it to the 49ers for Eric Armstead. I understand the thought process. Guarantee that you're going to get a starting defensive tackle, which was the biggest need on that defense, far none. I think if you look at it, if we would have kept mocking the Colts, if the Colts hadn't made that trade, the farther along the draft process would have gotten, we would have pretty much circled Javon Kinlaw with the Colts every single time. And if everyone knows that's going to happen, then a team like the Dolphins or Atlanta could probably very easily leapfrog the Colts and get their guy. And now the Colts are out of luck. So I definitely understand the thought process. But to me, Javon Kinlaw was going to be there at 13. I really don't see, aside from trades, there really wasn't a team that was ever going to take him ahead of 13 with the Colts or 49ers. I think that's where his floor started. And I mean, just deciding to pay a guy a lot of money and taking on that contract as opposed to taking the cheaper option, I probably would have taken the Javon Kinlaw route, but again, that does come with a risk. There's no way to know what's going to happen. There's no way to know if he was ever going to be there. So I understand why they made that trade. And again, like I said at the beginning, that's very nitpicky. I 100% understand the decision they made. And for me, their biggest surprise was also my favorite thing, which was going running back early. And I totally understand it. The Colts are sitting there looking at the draft and saying, we are not going to be the best passing offense in the league because Phillip Rivers is old. Our backup is still a backup, and we drafted Jacob Eason in the fourth round. None of those guys are going to come in and be capable of being a high-level passer right now. Phillip Rivers used to be that. I don't think he is anymore. I think last year kind of proved that was over for him. Now, if he is a pleasant surprise, that's awesome. But I think what the Colts are looking at and what they're thinking is we need to be a running team. And they're already set up to be that. They already have a great offense. They already have a great foundation to be exactly that. But they have to, I feel like they thought that they needed to get another star running back in that stable of running backs to put them over the top and be that type of team that they needed to be. So they're kind of taking a page from the Ravens' point of view, where you have 2-3 guys that can all run really well, and you have an offensive line that can block really well. You're going to win a lot of games doing that. So I like what they're doing. I like the thought process there, and I was a big fan of this draft. I really was. I am going to give this draft an A. I really liked everything they did. I think they are that much closer to being a superstar team next year. I understand that's kind of a hot take, and I mean, they're going to be in a really good division, a really good conference, and there's a lot of competition there. And you know, not being able to look at a team and say, man, they don't really have the quarterback right now, that's definitely scary, but they have everything else. I really believe that. I think if they can put it all together, they have the foundation for a really good team, and that wins you a lot of games right there. And if they can get more than I'm expecting out of Phillip Rivers, I mean, I think the sky's the limit for this team. I really do. But all right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Did I completely misjudge this draft? Was this a terrible draft and I'm just misjudging the Colts plan? Let me know what you guys think, and please check back for more videos soon. Peace out, guys.